RedZoneSports.Bet, the British home of American sports.
Hello and welcome to the SportsHeads, sponsored by RedZoneSports.Bet. We're in the studio in London to discuss the big games of the NFL this week for Week 11. I'm Simon Millen from Lindy's Sports UK, and I'm joined by Cecil Martin, former fullback for the Philadelphia Eagles, Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Oakland Raiders.
Yes, sir.
And also Warren Lambias, who is the co-founder of Red Zone Sports. Welcome, gentlemen.
Well, thank you.
Great games coming up this weekend. Let's crack through some.
Yep, okay.
Cardinals at Houston. Arizona Cardinals, Houston Texans. Difficult one. Cards are 4-5. Texans are 3-6.
This is down to me. I've picked this because it's one of my bets, so that's why I've put this one into the mix. I think the Cardinals, Gabbard's going to play this weekend. I think the Cardinals have got a better defense. Texans are just looking without Deshaun Jackson. They're looking like has-beens now.
Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson, not Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
Deshaun Jackson was in Jackson 5, I think. But Deshaun Watson, they're looking. It's a shame because they look like they were going to be relevant.
Yeah.
They're now not relevant. I personally think they should have gone after Kaepernick, but that's me. And so now I think the Cardinals looked good last week. I think Adrian Peterson's going to still be able to run on them. I think if you can give me the Cardinals +1s at a Texan team that is bombing, I'm going to take that. So I think the Cardinals will win the game because the +1's neither here or there, and I'll be all over the Cardinals.
Okay. You forgot one thing about your analysis. It's all about which Kango is Bruce Arians going to wear. See, that, when you look at the Kango he wears, it's really an indication. No, I'm just joking. No, but
should he be wearing this? He's winning hat.
This is winning hat. No, I love Bruce Arians, and
should he be wearing it at that age, though? That's the thing.
Is the thing.
You should get onto age, personally. I don't. He's just got off a flight from the States. He's been out there and he's absolutely jet lagged. Look at the state of him. Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, anyway.
No, but Bruce Arians is a great coach, and I think he knows how to get his team ready in the second half of the season. See, this is the time in which teams either get hot or they are not. And I think Bruce Arians and this team is one of those who has the ability to get hot. And this could be a game to catapult them into that.
What about the introduction of Adrian Peterson? I mean, it looked a bit, he didn't do a lot in New Orleans, and he's getting more carries there. He is the main man there. What does he bring to a team at his age now?
I mean, obviously he brings that leadership, but when he gets on the field, you expect him to produce, but at the same time, you expect the coaching staff, offensive coordinator, head coach, everyone to come up with schemes that best utilize him at his age with what he brings to the table, because he does know how to catch the ball. He can find those tough yards. He can find those holes, those soft spots to get it up there. And he's a bit of a decoy. Now, he's not playing that well, so he maybe not as much of a decoy, but he's still a potential home run hitter.
I think it suits him as well. The fact that they've got no quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, hang on. That's what he likes. He likes being the main man.
Yeah.
Really, if you're Bruce Arians, you've got Gabbard coming in. You're going to be saying, give the ball to Adrian Peterson because he's still got something in him. And against the Texans, I just think that they can't get anything going on offense with Savage. So I just think I think the Cardinals are going to win the game quite easily myself.
With Peterson, the thing that strikes me about him all through his career is you know exactly what he's going to do. He's not going to catch balls out of the backfield. He's not going to be split wide. He's not going to do anything other than have the ball, hand it off to him, and you know exactly where he's going. And I find it astonishing that teams haven't been able to stop him, basically. For a player that's not particularly versatile, he's had a hell of a career.
Yeah, he is. And it's and bar, a season lost to suspension and a couple of bad injuries, he's going to the Hall of Fame, isn't he? Would you say? I mean, I don't know. You're the expert. I'm the betting guy.
He's going to the Hall of Fame now.
Definitely.
Right. Next game, chaps. The Detroit Lions at the Chicago Bears. Now, Detroit have won 2 on the spin. I thought if they split those 2 games, they've got half a chance of making the playoffs. But the way it's working out, they've got to win this to keep pace. So they've got to have a third victory on the roll. Lions are 5-4. Chicago are 3-6. Still got Mitch Trubisky at QB. Lions have to win this because they've got the Vikings and the Ravens next up.
First thing, I'm going to call time on my Chicago Bears bet. Anti-post, that's gone. Okay, I'm going to have to hold my hand. They couldn't beat Green Bay last week, so that's gone. I think the Lions, the Lions or the Vikings never have such a great chance for, Aaron Rodgers is out of the picture. Green Bay are still relevant, as they showed by their win last week. But the Lions, as you say, need to win this. It's a divisional game. I think they will win it. It's one of my bets again. I'm sorry, I keep talking about the betting. You talk about the football season, I'll talk about the betting.
Hey.
But, you know, I think a -3 line. I think Stafford is still playing, you know, some of the best football of his career. I think the running game looked like it showed some flickers of life last week. So I like the Bears to win and to cover the 3-point spread as the Lions to cover the 3-point spread as well. So I think the Lions are going to win, mainly because although I like Trubisky, I think that Stafford is you know, that's the sort of thing where he should be looking to aim to get to, and he's barely throwing the ball at the moment. So
I was going to say, Cease, the big contract they've given Matt Stafford, is he worth it?
I mean, definitely. I mean, a lot of times the contract is given based on what you've done and what they believe you can do moving forward, and they try to put the pieces around you from there. So, yes, he's definitely worth it. Trubisky's a young guy trying to make it happen. I'm a Chicagoland guy myself. You know, I got a little Bears in me, so I got to disagree with you on that one. But I don't want none of your viewers, you know, to be listening to me as a betting expert now. Okay, I'm just speaking on behalf of what I think is going to happen in that game, because that is a rivalry. Everyone talk about Bears and the Packers, and at the end of the day, that division right there. I mean, that Midwest division, especially around this time of the year when it's cold. Look,
and it's got cold,
Bears
increasingly
and
cold over the
Lions,
weekend.
that's a rivalry, so I got to put that with the Bears.
and you're right, it's outside, so you know it's not like these. You know, it will be cold, wind blowing there.
There's snow
I
falling
still
this week,
I still think now that the, you know, with Fox, Chicago Bears, they're going to be conservative, and I just think there's going to be too much firepower from Matt Stafford and Golden Tate and the like, and I think they will score quite heavily.
And from betting angles this week, obviously you've got to start looking at the weather, the situation. It's got very, very cold very quickly up in the north this week. I can attest to that. Even down south it was. So yeah, keep an eye on the lines, because if you've got you know, a fairly high point spread, I know the bookies are all over it, but you can sometimes nick a price. Nick and under.
Take us on if you think you can beat us, because we've got something wrong, by all means.
Oh, you throwing out the challenge?
Oh,
you throwing out
come
the challenge?
on.
Bring it on.
Come and take us on.
And I will say the one thing about your website, RedZoneSports.Bet, you will take a bet. And there's a lot of firms out there that don't. So if you fancy a decent punt, it's a good place to go.
I think we've got the biggest basic limits in the UK. So yeah, thanks for the advert.
That's all right. No, it's true.
He's obviously jet lagged. Normally, he never wants to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about how much I lost. Ravens at Green Bay. Really cracking game, this one. Ravens 4-5, Green Bay 5-4. A clash of two different styles, I would attest.
Ravens are going to win this game. I'll tell you why. Because Green Bay won last week, throwing on a poor secondary of Chicago. I think this week, Ravens have got a strong secondary, and I think they're going to trouble. You'll see the quarterback Huntley be exactly what he is. I think Ravens, you know, they're an annoying team if you're following them. You never quite know what you've got, but they can beat anyone. Maybe bar the New England Patriots, but they can probably beat anyone on their day. Do you know what I mean? They're that sort of team, and at the same time can get blown out by any team on their day. But
as we saw at Wembley against Jacksonville. Yeah.
I just think this against the Packers, the Ravens need to win. You know, I would like to see the Packers stay relevant, but I just can't see how they're going to do it against a half decent Ravens team myself.
Well, all I can say is I want to see the Packers stay relevant as well. Seeing as though I'm a Wisconsin Badger, and
you're everyone.
I'm gonna lose my cheese eating card. You know what I mean? If I go against my Packers, but I will say though, having been coached by Coach Harbaugh, you know, and the type of motivator he is, and then having broadcasted the Super Bowl when he beat his little brother, you know, the other Harbaugh. You know, I'm always partial to Coach Harbaugh and what he can do with that Ravens team. And this week, I think it won't be any different.
Yeah, I think they've got that one. Again, Ravens -2. Again, forget the fact it's in Green Bay. You know, it's pretty cold in Baltimore where they play as well, so I wouldn't worry about that.
Wait a minute. Whoa. I didn't realize it was going to be in Green Bay. Now, that's a whole nother story now.
So, a football expert, but not a geography expert.
Yeah, exactly. I know what I do what I do. Now that'll be interesting, because Packer fans, they show up every single week, and it's like the Mecca. But if you've ever gotten a chance to go to Green Bay, whether you're a Green Bay fan or not.
I will say this. You think you can't get tickets for a Green Bay game? You actually can. So if you think it's
if
the
you
Mecca,
Simon,
No,
you
no,
got
no,
the
you
connection
could-
like
you
you
could-
do,
no, no,
hanging
no,
out
no,
in
no,
Auburn,
no, no.
North Carolina.
Yeah.
I had to pay for tickets for those games.
Oh my word!
So there
that
you
would have
are.
hurt, ladies and
It
gentlemen.
did hurt.
More,
It did hurt.
more than a losing bet,
It did,
Simon.
actually,
so-
yes. I had to pay for my ticket in Carolina. I wasn't best pleased with that, but as a journalist, someone who wants to promote them. Huntley for Green Bay at the quarterback. How are we
as I
rating
said,
his performance?
Well, we had you were away sunning it up or holding it up last week. We had a thing about who would win first. I was right, Sam. You were wrong. I said Huntley would get a few more wins than Savage. I just think that he's going to struggle against this secondary, like I said before. And you know, I think if they're going to have to rely on running the ball, which they will, I think they become a little bit too one-dimensional. I think with him at quarterback, even if you've got to stop Jones.
So you think they stack the box, basically?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Let's have a look at another game. Raiders, 7-point favourite, 7-point dogs at New England. Now we saw New England.
It's in Mexico. That's the thing you got to remember about this. So
Yes.
it's, you know, as bookmakers, we automatically give the home team 3 points as a start, and then you start from there to work it out. Well, I don't work it out. Steve Ballmole, who's
Mastermind.
He's the
I was gonna
mastermind.
say, you'd go bust pretty quick, wouldn't
He's like Blofeld, sat there stroking a cat somewhere in the back office. He's probably not. He's probably just sat at a computer very boringly. But I think this is in Mexico, so it's it's not really a home game for the Oakland Raiders.
They won there last year. They've got a huge following, and
and I think I just think that 7-point line for me as a bettor is high. I think New England, they look fantastic against Denver. They forget the first 4 games under their defence. Like I said last week, I think their defence is really coming on now, and I think it will be a great game because I think Marshawn Lynch, you've got Derek Carr, you've got Crabtree. Who's the other receiver? Anyway, it's gone anyway. But I think it will be a closer game than people think, and I would give the Raiders a chance in the game. Forget the fact that bookmakers will make it 7-point underdogs. I think the Raiders have got a real chance. They need to win as well to stay relevant in a very, very tough division.
New England seem to be on a roll at the moment. They seem to have got their act together after a indifferent start, we should say. They're 7-2 now. The AFC East is pretty much
They just do what they do, don't they? Yeah.
You don't think they're going to cover the spread?
No, I think they're highly favourites to win the game. Obviously, well, they're 7-point favourites to win the game. I just think that game feels like it's going to have a few. You know, they barely needed to get off the plane to beat Denver the other day. You know, the special teams come up with 2 fantastic plays, and Denver shot themselves in the foot. I just think that the Raiders are the Raiders coming off a bye. I can't remember if they're coming off a bye. Even if they're not, I still think they've got more on offense than Denver could show, and so the Pats have played some pretty vanilla offenses, bar the Chargers in recent weeks, and I think they're going to be coming up against a proper offense in this. Whether the defense can do anything is another matter to stop Tom Brady, but I think it will be a higher scoring game and a game that has a couple of lead changes as opposed to being just one team beating up another team, which was what we saw last week.
Okay.
Warren, I gotta say, you threw a lot out there just now. You got a lot of knowledge up in that brain of yours. I love it. But how could you ever go against the Patriots in any game? With that being said,
You're a Raiders man, though.
I'm
with that
Raiders are your
being
boys,
said,
Cecil.
everything that you said was just crisp, credible to the nth degree.
No one has ever called me credible, and Cecil Martin just called me credible. I don't even think my children or my wife have ever called me credible, but yeah.
His wife,
I think you've had one too many coffees. Should we move on?
Yeah.
No, but I will say this. I'm going with the New England Patriots.
They will win
I
the
could
game,
never
I
go
think,
against
yeah.
them yet. But I see what you're saying from a betting standpoint.
With the 7 points,
will not win by more than 7 points.
You've just reminded me, my friend's wife, Jen Flood, hello Jen, was saying she watched last week's show and she said, you do like to talk, don't you? So there you go. Sorry, Jen.
I send a shout out.
Right. Game of the week for me. Atlanta Falcons at Seattle Seahawks. Atlanta beat Dallas pretty convincingly last week. And I was quite surprised it was a half-filled stadium, to be perfectly honest, but because I was actually there. And you don't get to see it on the TV sometimes. And they said 71,000 odd, but it looked pretty half full. Falcons 2.5-point dogs at Seattle. Seattle without Richard Sherman.
Yeah, I think they've got chance Chancellor as well, maybe. They've also left tackle out. The clever guys in the back office, they've got the Falcons +3 as their nap of the week. They think the Falcons will win the game. They think they think the Falcons have solved something on offense, although they've got a little bit of a little defense. Going against Russell Wilson at the moment, Russell Wilson is having to do it on his own with Jimmy Graham at the moment. That's it, you know. And Seattle are beatable, I think.
We've got, you know, you look at the Falcons and they've been nothing but inconsistent this year. They finally put a decent 4 quarters together against Dallas, but this was a Dallas team without Tyron Smith.
Yep.
Without Zeke Elliott and also Sean Lee, who's a massive influence. They had a turnstile at left tackle, basically. Adrian Claiborne had an MVP sort of game, 6 sacks. I mean, that's a Falcons record.
Yeah.
But you know, that's probably doubled his sack tally for the last 3 or 4 seasons. So how convincing were the Falcons? I'm not going to say that they're going to go on and do what they did last year until I see a bit more consistency. One thing about the Falcons is they don't score in the 3rd quarter. They've got a real issue with this. Have a look at the stats. You'll find that if you're looking, you know, you're playing within the game, you know, having a bet within the game, worth looking at their 3rd quarter stats.
Well, I just think Matt Ryan, he looks like he's looking like the Matt Ryan of last season again. Just after I released him in my fantasy football team, but let's not talk about that.
I've got a Matt Ryan story.
But and I think Julio Jones. I think Freeman's coming on. I just think that they're looking. I think if you're Seattle, and although Seattle have got a great defense, they've lost some really important components to that defense, and they're coming up against an offense that can score points. I like the Falcons.
I like Seattle now. I mean, there's an X factor in there, and that's Russell Wilson. And I know everything that you just said was right on. But when I look at a guy like Russell Wilson with the kind of brain that he has, the type of football intelligence, along with that arm and his legs, I believe that he will put more onus on his arm and that brain and identifying where the advantages are, where the spaces are. And I think that he's gonna be dumping that ball down, and we're gonna see him elevate his game, because as a leader, and he is a great leader, as a leader he will put that on his shoulders. So I think that this Seattle game will be one in which the Seattle Seahawks are going to look at as, you know, when we turn the corner. When we really turn the corner, when we forgot about all the issues in the past and really took it to that next level and began to get hot.
Well, you look at some of the teams in the NFC at the moment. There's a lot of teams on 7-2, 7-3 records. Falcons are 5-4, Seattle are 6-3. Both these teams need this. This is a massive game for both teams.
And I think Cecil's right. For the Seahawks to win, Russell Wilson has to do it himself. Virtually, as I said, he needs to drag it in.
You know what's crazy about Russell Wilson? What he's done in such a short amount of time is just phenomenal. You know, the story hasn't been written on him yet, and it'll be interesting to see how, you know, this season and next season, you know,
he was special. Literally as soon as he started, and Pete Carroll put him in, I think they got Tolson over from Green Bay, and then suddenly, you know, this low-level draft quarterback gets the gig, and the rumour straight away was in training camp. We were on him for MVP or Rookie of the Year. I can't remember which one it was at the time. And if you remember, he took them to the playoffs, and they lost on a field goal against Atlanta when Pete Carroll tried to ice the kicker the wrong way or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember being upset about it. He's been special from the moment he started playing, and I you know, he is a great.
Do you know where he went to school?
No, go on, tell me.
The University of Wisconsin, Madison, those Badgers out there. Shout out.
So we've got shout out for the Badgers, the Packers, the Bears.
That's
it.
Raiders.
The Raiders, Philly. You know,
we have
it's an extension of the show. You know, I mean, you know.
You're the one who's been doing experiments. You're going around to every team you can find.
Yes. You know, I can still play, coaches. I can still play. You know, only a call away.
I think that's enough, gentlemen. I think people are going to look to try and get minted with your lot today. See the link there? Do you see what I did there?
But again, I picked that. Oh, minted. You see?
You see? I'm trying to do.
And he's jet lagged, and he's doing jokes like that.
I'm trying to. Nobody gets them. If you have to explain it, it's not a joke. Is it?
Right. No, I got the one last week where you said you look like Kevin Costner. We were rolling around the floor.
Hang on a minute. I was in Atlanta at the weekend. I had a 3-game tour.
Get that close up. Get that close up on that man right there. Look at Kevin.
Kevin Costner. I'm not surprised to see Kevin Costner.
Wait. I was in Atlanta and gospel. I walked into a Starbucks with a Atlanta Falcons hat on and Atlanta Falcons garb on, and a guy behind the counter said, you look just like Matt Ryan. And I thought, I almost thought, shall I sign his brother? And it's 5 minutes, no kidding, 5 minutes later, I'm walking down the stadium. I've gone to a T-shirt seller. Yeah. Said, hey man, this looks like the spit of Matt Ryan.
So was he from Birmingham, the guy?
Two people.
Not Alabama either.
Two people independently of each other said I look like Matt Ryan. How cool is that? I wish I had his money.
I question many things that's going on in America at the moment, and I just put that above the election of Donald Trump. I'm sorry,
I'm a little bit short.
I had to go there, didn't you? Yeah, okay.
I might be a little bit shorter than Matt Ryan, but I tell you what, that made me feel 10 feet tall. Anyway, let's wrap this up, guys. That's been the betting show. Warren Lambias, Cecil Martin, thanks again for all your help. I'm Simon Millen from Lindy's Sports. We'll see you again soon.
American football and my hot cheerleaders. It'll make you feel like a Yank. RedZoneSports.Bet, the British home of American sports.